Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, sellers sessions, whatever you are. This is Izabela Hamilton, CEO of Runbelt, your host, and I have with me today the pleasure of having this amazing man, Frankie Quiros. How are you?
How's it going? I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I wanted to do this when I first met you, and I just never told you. And then I saw, I think, like one of your posts, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't get Frankie on yet. How have you been since last time I saw you?
I've been great. I've just been working, really hard lately. I think I've started like 3 new businesses since I first met you. And
Okay.
so it's been very time consuming. So I've been under the radar for a long time in the back cave just working. But I feel like I planted a lot of seeds last year, and this year a lot of them are going to start blooming, and I'm excited for the world to see what's to come.
Oh, I love that. So tell us a little bit about you for those that don't know you.
Yeah, so I'm founder of Tuned in Tokyo and Drip Creations. Both of them are 8-figure fashion streetwear brands. So I've been building clothing brands since I was 16. I just turned 30 last week. So it's been 14 years, 14, 15 years. And so my whole life I've been building fashion brands, clothing brands, and started this journey when I was young in high school, selling shirts out of my trunk. Grew up in Riverside, California, in the hood of Riverside, California. My pops was a gangster. His dad was a gangster. And I did this with no handouts, no investors, no mommy or daddy money. Just bootstrapped my way here. Learned as I experienced things through all of my failures. And little by little, you just get the momentum. You figure out what works, what doesn't work. You double, triple down on everything that's working. And here I am today. It's not even just about what we're like, how much we're selling. It's the community that we've built. Like, we actually have real supporters, real followers, and real customers that are diehard fans of my brands. We've hosted events online and in person, and thousands of people have showed up for us every single time, lined up for our products. And I'm just excited. That's what I do. It's brand building, and marketing is my second language.
That is incredible. Well, first of all, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Are
And
you?
happy birthday to you too, by the way.
Thank you, thank you. Are you Aquarian or are you Pisces?
No, I'm a Pisces. I think I just made the cutoff line. February 27th.
Oh yeah, you're definitely Pisces. No
Yeah.
wonder we got along as soon as we met.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, when we met, we had a crazy story. It may or may not involve ghosts in a room.
Oh, yes. Yes, I forgot about that. That was a crazy hotel that they put us in. Like, seriously, it was really old.
So backstory: me and Frankie met at a mastermind, and when we had to check out in our rooms, we may or may not have felt some ghost. I don't know, energy, but it was just very funny. So
And
happy
that's
birthday, one and two. This is very good that we're having this conversation now because I'm in the Amazon space, and this podcast is mostly related to Amazon, and I host the Monday Mindsets. But this is perfect because I feel like you really have both zoned in the mindset part and the brand building part, which I think is fantastic because you really started, like you said, everything organically, and now you have how many followers does your brand have now organically?
we have 1 million on both. So Drip has 1 million and Tune in Tokyo has 1 million. All organic. I mean, Tune in Tokyo is 8 years old, so it took a while to get to the million. We barely hit that like a couple of years ago. Drip blew up like literally in 1 year. We gained 500,000 followers its first year.
What do you think? Why do you think the second one gained followers much faster? Were you introducing it with your old brand, or you did this completely separate?
So there are two different demographics. One of them is for men, the other one is for female. And with Drip, we're making custom shoes. So it was a really clever thing that I've always wanted to do. I was like, man, we need to start a shoe company one day. And my younger sister, she was making shoes in my casita. I had this little casita at the time. and she was selling these custom shoes on Etsy, and I was like, hey, this is literally what I'm trying to do. I didn't even know you were doing this whole time. You were living with me. And so she was like 19 at the time, and I was like, well, let's make this a brand, and it became Drip Creations. And basically we were able to customize shoes for any celebrity, any influencer, with their logo, with whatever it is that they had an emotional attachment to. We brought that into life with the shoe. And it was really different because most influencers and celebrities, they'll get like a hat, they'll get maybe a chain, they'll get like a hoodie, but they never get a shoe. And the moment they saw our shoe, the unpackaging of it, the care packages that we sent out, they were blown away, and they started posting us for just the product. And most of these people would charge like 10, 20, 30. I know some of them charge 50,000 for like a story shout out. They were constantly giving us shout outs over and over again, just to show everybody that they have like something that's different than that nobody has, you know? And I think that that's what made Drip very special, that these influencers were willing to participate in the brand and support it as like an unknown ambassador program. And yeah, we blew up little by little. It was a snowball effect. Our first shout out became like 10, 20, 30. Then we were working with 1,500 influencers at a time.
Do you feel like the second brand that you opened, is that Drip? Which one is
Yeah,
the
Drip. One? Drip is the second one.
Do you feel like it blew up, one, because you have all this extensive knowledge over the years? Do you feel like had you started this one first, you would have had the same exact success as you do now?
It was definitely experience, because like the back end, it wasn't the marketing sales weren't the easy part, because to be honest with you, one of the hardest challenges in 2020 was to figure out fulfillment. Because like when COVID happened, I thought we were done. I was like, no one's going to buy clothes, and no one's definitely going to buy shoes because they're not going out. Like everyone's scared that they're going to die. And second, who cares about clothes right now? Nobody's like stepping out of their house. Next thing you know, we double our sales from the previous year within the first 3 months, and it was insane.
Why do you think that is?
I think because people were home, and at the time social media was like bigger than ever. I think that COVID really brought the digital space, the digital life, whether it was Amazon, any sort of e-commerce in general, really blew up in 2020. It was a fluke year. And we blew up the previous year in 2019, but 2020 kind of set the charts for us. And what happened was that we were able to do insane amount of like volume in sales. The problem was fulfillment. And I don't think that I would have been able to logistically handle all of that business that we brought in 2020 if I didn't have the experience over time. So if I created Drip 5, 6, 7 years ago, I think that we would have been more prepared for something bigger this year. But it's because I had Tuned in Tokyo experience in logistics and operations that we were able to scale Tune. And we still have issues today. We're learning as we go. I ended up selling a piece of my company to the ex CMO and marketers of Tom's Shoes, and they're coming on board to help out. And that's a first. I never really shared that. So that's huge, and that's what I'm looking forward to this year.
That is so beautiful to see that just from like how I know you, and you're always so very soft-spoken and you don't seem stressed at all. Do you feel like this has brought your stress level to another level, or you've been kind of chill this whole time with the new company? Actually, I should say the new companies.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, I know I seem very calm, but I think a lot. I'm always like, I'm an observer, I'm a listener. So I think that like I am a little stressed at sometimes, but this year I think I've been in the best mood ever. First quarter is tough for ecom, in general, because we just got done with quarter 4. People aren't trying to spend money right now. Is a time like we're in March, so people are getting their tax returns. We're gonna get a little wave. But in general, first 2 quarters are a little slower than the last 2. And, I'm not really stressed out. This is the first year where like I feel like I gave up that CEO position, the captain of the ship, and I get to just set sail and see the sunrise. I've been working so hard for the last 16 years that it's time for me to step aside and let people that are more knowledgeable than me take over, because I bootstrapped my way here. I didn't go to college for this. I didn't learn, just like you, Izabela. Like we learn as we go, and I think it's really important at some point that as an entrepreneur, we like to make a mess. I think that entrepreneurship is extremely messy. We make such a big mess, and that's what I did. I've made a mess over the last 8 years, and I've hired people in the last 2 years to clean it up for me. And that's good, though, because if we didn't make that mess, we wouldn't have been able to do what we did, And so I don't regret anything at all. You just move forward, and as long as you take care of your customers, you're going to be straight. Like that's my number one priority. Always, always. Like that's a secret sauce. There's a reason why we get 35-40% retention. It's because we take care of our customers first. I would rather not sell, and I've done this multiple times. Like Drip right now, if you try to go buy a shoe, you can't. I would rather not sell till we figure things out and we're prepared for it.
What brought up this new ventures that you're doing, and can you talk about them, the new businesses?
So I'm working on, I can't really share too much because I don't want the whole community to start my idea. But I do have a couple more brands in me. 3 of them are in play already. I feel like I'm going to have like 6 or 7 total by the end of this year that are recurring. And it's only because I have the right team in place. And I feel like I have a formula of how to build brands. One of them, what my dream is though? This was my dream, but you know what my actual dream is? And it sounds crazy, but my dream is to start the next designer brand. And I'm not saying I'm going to compete with like Louis Vuitton and Gucci and them because they're here for forever. But what I am saying is I'm going to be in the conversation in that. And I used to run around when I was like 16, 17. I used to run around school, run around my family. And I used to tell them like, hey, one day I'm going to own this big warehouse. I'm going to sell t-shirts all over the world. People are going to love and support me. And at the time, people thought I was probably crazy because like, 1, I'm in the hood. 2, like I have no money, no experience. And it's like, I think that I had just so much ambition at the time. And here I am again, shouting out to the world that I'm going to start something big within the next 2 years that is going to be in the same conversation as the next big designer brand, and I might sound a little crazy, but I really feel like I can pull it off because there's a difference between being like that. That's one thing that like in Amazon, you can't really do too much is brand yourself in a way. And you can brand your products. You can go ahead and do like a more premium feel on Amazon. But Amazon is a hub. It's a hub. It's a general hub for people that need something, And that's the thing that these designer brands have mastered is branding, not really marketing, but branding in general. And I've mastered both of them, branding and marketing. And I feel like if you find that sweet spot between both, you can really do some damage in like any space. And that's why I'm coming in hot in the next 2 years.
I love that. Oh my God. There's so much goodness in everything you say. And again, I just have to like give you props for being so calm and so calculated throughout this whole process. But when you first started, I'm sure you weren't all this chill, right? What are some first steps that you took when you built your first brand? Do you even remember? Because I don't assume you had a team then. It was just you, right? Like, what are some of the steps that you took that you felt like they were a huge a step into building your first 8-figure brand?
So most people right at the start, they're not in like the best financial place, whatever venture you have. And the first thing that I did was learn everything about the space. I studied all of the brands that I've looked up to and the people and the team behind that company, like to a T. I watched every single YouTube video, Google article, whatever it is, magazine. I had a stack of magazines that I would buy just to keep up with these people because I was so obsessed with making it in clothing. So I learned everything that there was to know about starting a clothing brand, design, and kind of like, and I was very unexperienced at the time.
How long was
So like,
this process from like learning to like, okay, I'm sort of ready right now?
well, I started right away. Like I started selling t-shirts, but like it was just I had like these visions, these ideas. I just didn't have the money to bring it to life. For instance, I couldn't release a 4-color t-shirt. It had to be a 1 or 2 color max because I couldn't afford to do 3 or 4. And I didn't go to a screen printer, to a manufacturer. My dad and my best friend at the time, we wanted to do this so bad that we built a wooden like screen printing press out of like wood, and we would put a brick on every single screen, and we would squeegee and screen print every single t-shirt. And my dad had a shack in the back. So like I have a picture where I know people say like I started out on the shack or in the garage. Like I really did. I have pictures of it. And so I was limited to 1 or 2 t-shirts. But the one thing that changed, it was really good because it was I could tell right away that there was like a little spark of momentum that I can actually do this for reals. And but what was really important was learning everything that there is to know about this industry and the people that have done it before me. So like that was step number one. And like I think that any person that's trying to build a brand or an e-commerce business should understand that. Like if Izabela is the rock star of Amazon, the Amazon queen, then you should learn everything there is to know about her come up, her story, and how she does what she does, because then you get to learn everything, the inside information, the blueprint, and she could be your North Star to make it in this life. Because going in unknown territory is difficult. And that's great. At one point, you're going to need to do that. But reinventing the wheel is a lot harder when you have no resources and no experience. So I learned so much, and I got really smart at this game before I had anything, to the point where people, when I would talk to people, they believed in me eventually. I didn't sound crazy. Like they actually started believing in me. And I would knock on every screen printer manufacturer's door. And one day I actually met one, and they believed in me so much that they were willing to partner with me. So they're like, this kid, this 17-year-old kid is so batshit crazy about what he's doing in his dream that I'm willing to front all the t-shirts, all the printing, and I'm willing to help this kid sell and get money eventually from this project that he's starting. Because I was so into it, I learned everything that there is to know about building a brand. And I think that that's really important for somebody that doesn't have money, that doesn't have all the resources, is you learn the language before you do, and you get down to that blueprint that I just talked to you about, and eventually people are going to believe you. And if they believe in you, investors will start come knocking on your door.
And believing in you, you really have to truly believe in you to the point where it's unmistaken, right? Like, because I think most people think they believe in something until things get hard, and then they just give up. Do you feel like most people give up at this stage? Is that why they don't get to have that 6 7 8 figure brand? Like, what do you think holds people back the most? Because we all start with passion, we all hope that we're going to succeed. Like, why did you succeed and not the other 100 people who started at the same time with you?
Entrepreneurs are either made or they're born. And fortunately, I was born into this. Like when I grew up with divorced parents, so I was moving constantly. I went to like 16 different schools until I hit high school. So like I didn't have a choice. Like I didn't want to become an entrepreneur. I didn't even care about entrepreneurship. Like I had no choice. Like I knew my parents were going to afford college for me, that I had to make it one way or another, and that I was going to take control of my life. And I think that people, if you really want to do this for reals, is that you have to understand that you're either being controlled by society or you're controlling your life. And when you understand that you can control your life, you're going to start believing in yourself because you are the author of your story. And that's what I like found out when I was 7 years old, that when I grew up, I was going to have to take care of myself. So this story of my life, I'm the one writing it. And there's nothing that anybody can do, say, that can change my story. And that's something that has gave me the confidence since day one. And most people let other people control their lives and tell them who they are instead of you writing your story. And that's really important in life. And I feel like if people figure that out early on, that entrepreneurship isn't sunshine and rainbows. Like, you don't get a Lamborghini the first month and hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a process. Think about it. I started when I was 16 years old, which was like 2008, 2007. I'm not sure the timeline, but I didn't make my first million till 2015. So it almost took me 10 years to do 1 million in sales. Like, that's crazy. And, people are willing to give up so quick. And guess what? Like, after that first million, it turned into 5, 10, 20, 30. Now here we are today. Like, I think that people are so quick to give up because they just don't understand that they're writing their story. There is no end. That's what keeps me going, honestly, is that I don't know the end of my story. I'm still writing it out every single month, every single year. It's so cool that we learn so much every single day. And I'm not the same Frankie I was 5 years ago. I'm not the same Frankie I was 2 years ago. I'm constantly learning. And isn't that the coolest thing ever? That we're like a sponge where we can keep soaking up knowledge, and every single day we get better and better and better and better. And if that's not what you're striving to do in life, then entrepreneurship isn't for you. Like, I think that that's what gives me the confidence, is that I am willing to learn. I understand that I have no choice, that I have to do this and to provide for my family. And the third thing is I'm obsessed with learning, with becoming better.
Wow, that is so beautiful of you to say. And I can just tell by the way you're talking that you are very passionate. And I tend to agree with you. I mean, if you don't have really that staple emotion that holds you in place, that says, when no matter what happens, I will not give up. And you're right. I mean, I see it every day, people coming into the Amazon space, maybe they saw a product that they thought was going to be like their winning product, and then it doesn't happen, or it doesn't happen immediately. And then 6 months in, or some of the courageous ones, they stay for a year and then they give up. But what I noticed, Frankie, is like the people who give up, they always have these thoughts in their head that they're not going to make it, but they're just getting up every day. But imagine starting to drive a car, but knowing that it's broken. You're like, okay, it's going to break down. It's going to break down. You're just waiting for the moment that it breaks down, instead of, looking at it from another side. Like, thank God my car is still working. Like, okay, I got another day. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So in my opinion, I think what makes successful people, apart from those who don't happen to get that success, is, the belief in themselves. Do you feel like that's a big part of your success as well?
Well, you just talked a lot about like the fear, right? And I feel like we're never gonna get over that fear. Like, I'm here today telling everybody that I'm still worried. Like, that worry, we use it as a driving factor because the fear never goes away. The fear of losing everything, the fear of not making it, that fear never goes away. But what happens is we get comfortable with that fear. That fear doesn't control us anymore or dictate what's going to happen today and tomorrow. That's what's the difference between that, what's going to happen eventually if you don't give up, because the fear will never go away. And honestly, I hope it never does, because it keeps me going. If that, I use it as a driving factor, that at any moment I can go through a big lawsuit, or I can go through a car crash, or I can go through something like huge, a disaster of a storm like COVID, anything that can happen that's out of my control. But it's getting comfortable with that fear and using it to drive you. And I think that that's really important, that people need to understand, is that it will never go away. You just get more comfortable with it. I was talking to someone, one of my friends, and he's doing like 30, 40 million a year in solar. And he was telling me the same thing that I just said. It's like, hey, this worry never goes away. You just get more comfortable with it. And that's it. It's called, you know what it is? I call it this. I call it, you are as big as your business. So your business is as big as you are. It's the other way around. People think that you are as big as your business, but your business is as big as you are. So your business should always follow you. And for the longest time, I was always following my business, my brands, and being behind the scenes. And everything changed, like I said, in 2015, where I was like, no, money's gonna start following me now. My brand's gonna start following me now. So as I get stronger, better, faster, more wise, my brand will always follow me. And it's the truth. It's the truth, because when I stopped learning, when I started just started like in a way just shifting apart from my brand, it started falling off. Doesn't matter if I had the dream team or not. I was the moving factor in that business. And so your business is always as big as you are. So the more you learn, the more you earn, the more your brand starts building longevity, because you are the heart and soul of your business. Like, think about what happened with like Apple. Apple's here to stay because of what Steve Jobs has done. But he had this heart. He was the beating heart of that business in that brand, that we may not no longer see that. Now it's just going to be completely monetized, and people will still buy Apple because they're the leader in the industry, but there's no more heart, there's no more soul. It's just monetary now. And it's really important that people understand that your business will always follow you, that it shouldn't be the other way around. And that helps you control the fear, because if it's the other way around, you're always constantly worried, because you're so involved and so attached to your brand and your business that when things go down, you feel down as a person. So what I did was uh, I disown, not I wouldn't say disown, but I disattached myself and my emotions from my business. And that's what really helped, because like during COVID, things could have gone up and down in waves. Like, that was probably like the craziest thing that's ever happened to us. And talk about fear and anxiety at the time. But I didn't let that get to me at all. Like, what happened in my business, whether it was going to be good or bad, wasn't going to affect me and myself and how I react at home. And I think that that's really important. Jay-Z has this line. Jay-Z, the musician, has this line where he says, I'm not a businessman, I am the businessman. And that's exactly what I'm trying to tell people, that you have to become the business, that you have to become the driving force, the factor, take control of your life, your business, and everything else will follow. But the moment you stop driving, the moment you let your foot off the gas, everything else will fall apart. And that's what an entrepreneur is you are the captain of your ship. You are the driver in the driver's seat. The car, everything else in the car, everybody else in the car is part of you. And the moment you let yourself go, everything else falls apart. And if you're willing to hold that weight on your shoulders, then you are an entrepreneur. And that's the thing, that people are like so easy to give up. Like, you're telling me that you don't want to put in 5 years, 10 years of your life to do something that you love for the rest of your life? Because that's the way I thought about it. I was like, I'm going to put in, look, this is going to take, for most people, it would probably take 2, 3, maybe 5 years. For me, this is going to take 10, because I have no money, no experience, and nobody around me that can help me. So I was like, this is going to take 10 years, but I'm willing to put 10 years of my time to do this for the rest of my life. And people aren't willing to do that. So it's crazy, because like, if you really want to make it, you're going to have to be passionate about, because if you're coming into this for money, you're going to learn real quick that this is more than just money. That entrepreneurship is more than just money. that it's more than that. Honestly, like, think about it. The most exciting part about entrepreneurship is the process. It's literally the process. Every single win, it's small wins over time. Success isn't one big win. It's multiple wins over the time. Like, we get our dopamine, our excitement off of little things, little wins throughout this journey, and that's what makes it worth it to us. It's not we just got this $1 million deal or this or that. It's these little small wins that keep us going. And entrepreneurs, like these new entrepreneurs that are coming in the scene, they're just so quick to give up because they don't get those little wins, because they're not willing to put in the time. And that's all it is. It's like, if you want to do this for the rest of your life, give it the rest of your life. Bruce Lee, these people, these icons, Michael Jackson, these icons, these Kanye Wests, they've dedicated their whole life to their craft. It's called mastery. And if you're willing to master your craft, you will become the master eventually, but it takes time. If I did Amazon, I would strive to be the Amazon king. I would strive to be the Amazon king. I wouldn't come out of the bat and give up the first 2-3 months because nothing happened, but I would put in all of the time that I can to make it happen, because I know one day, if I put in enough time, that it would work. Like, people need to understand that if you do this long enough, the industry will respect you for it.
So beautiful. I mean, I don't even know where to start. I mean, you brought in so much goodness. I don't even know which one to pick apart, but I think it's beautiful. And it's beautiful recognizing that it's not just, oh, I just want to make money, and people don't give themselves enough time. They look at somebody like you, it's like, oh, well, Frankie did it. I mean, he did it in what, like 6 months? Like, they don't see all the back work that you've been putting into it, and the fact that you didn't give up over and over and over again. And with YouTube and social media and everything that we have right now, people are so quick to judge, and say, you know what, well, it only took this person so long. I am so much smarter than them. I can do it and have the time. So you're right. I think people have lost their one sense of, belief in themselves, and two, they want things to happen too fast because they have the wrong misconception. They have a misconception about the time and the length that it takes to create something of this magnitude. I mean, Amazon made it easier for people to just launch brands, but now with so much competition, it's kind of, it's not as easy anymore. And for you to start your brand, you never even sold on Amazon, did you? I don't think we talked about this.
No, I never did sell on Amazon.
You stayed away from it? I'm curious. I mean, obviously your brands are not, I don't think they would even be a fit for Amazon, but was Amazon on your radar?
Well, we're not like selling like a specific product that would, I think, thrive on Amazon, but we did do Etsy. So we did a couple million in sales on Etsy, only because it's like a more unique platform, Yeah. That's the only reason why. But
what do you think of Amazon as a model and what they're doing?
I think Amazon's here to stay. I don't think Amazon's going anywhere. And there's obviously ways to figure out, like, that's the thing. It's like, you need to think outside the box with whatever it is that you do. Like, yeah, it's oversaturated, but people need to figure out that there's riches in the niches. Like, you have to pick a specific product that already has a community and a customer base for it. And people are like so quick to like follow the numbers, like, hey, this one's selling 1,000 units a day, so we need to start a store on that right now. Where it's like, let's find the winning customers first. And that's what I've done with my brands, is I find the winning customers, the community first, and then I introduce a product to them. So I do it the other way around, and it's working out for me constantly, back to back. And I've built really big communities for those people, and brands, like literally like these brands that are here to stay. One of my companies is almost 10 years old, and it's in the fashion space. That's really unheard of. So I think that Amazon, in the other hand, can work out for people still. They just have to be smarter about how to figure out how to build a product around a community, a selling community already, instead of just introducing a store with a bunch of random products. If I were to do Amazon, it would be like very niche down. I would try to figure out, and then there's always ways to like rank and do crazy things, like that's the thing. You really need to think outside the box. You can't just give up. um, there's ways to black hat yourself, bootstrap yourself to rank and figure things out, and that's what it is. That's the beauty of entrepreneurship. It's like
Not that we're not that we're encouraging any black hat techniques on this show.
No, definitely not. But I'm saying is like, just think outside the box. There's always a way. If there's always a way to figure something out. Never say no. Never take no for an answer.
How do you get your customers to keep coming back to you?
Introducing new products, keeping things in the loop. So I have this like process. I don't know how many C's. I just think like, so I just say as I go. So I call it like the 4 C's, and there's no order, but like if I were to choose a product, it would like have to do with something that you can immediately create anything that you want at any moment. So like my shoe, right? I can create anything at any moment on my shoe. I can continuously introduce a new product. The second thing is collaborate. Can I collaborate with influencers? Can I collaborate with anybody, any brand at any time? And it'll make sense within my product. So I'm not just going to have a water bottle and be like, hey, Logan Paul, hey, Ruby Rose, can you promote this water bottle for me? Like they're not going to have any interest in that. But when they have their own shoe, their own logos, their own like slogan, their own album cover on our shoe, that's different. So collaborate. Then the third thing is just like understanding that there is a customer behind there. It's not just a number. So you got to understand who your customer is. Like treat them like people, not just another number. So like that's the third C. And the fourth C, I think, is just like it's in a way it's hard to describe, but I think it's just continuously like collaborating. Like that's what's going to drive the moment of like success for you, is to continuously do anything. Like it's continuously doing the first 3 that I just mentioned, whether it's creating, collaborating in any way, shape, or form. And if you can do that on Amazon, then that's where you're going to really find success, because I've seen people that have sold 4 million units, or I'm sorry, 4 million in sales on Amazon and have no website. I just met somebody like a couple weeks ago that does that, and they're in like they have a community. So they introduced a random like unique product, just like I talked about with Drip, and they found a community, and the community is in the pet space. And then they niched down in the pet space. So pet space wasn't enough. They're like, no, we're going to go after dogs, just dogs, no cats, none of that. So they niched down even further, and they introduced this product to that community that's really unique, that they can continuously release new products and collaborate with anyone at any moment. And they're doing 4 million in sales because of that formula. And it's really cool to see it happen, because I wouldn't start a brand or an Amazon store in any other way. And that's the best way to do it, organically. Because what I've noticed when I found out about this person is that a lot of people are shouting him out, and he doesn't even have a website. They're shouting out his link on Amazon. Like that's weird. I've never seen that. I've never seen an influencer promote something on Amazon. Like it's really crazy, but the product is so unique that I promoted it too. I was like, holy crap, this is so cool.
And the product idea came from the shoppers themselves. It was like almost like a collaboration between the founder and the community, would you say? Like how were they able to come up with that idea?
That's a perfect question, because like people always say to me, hey, how come I've never, in like the last 10 years I've known you, I've never seen you wear any of your products? Like people always say that, like, hey, like the first moment I introduced them and I'm like, hey, yeah, I have a clothing brand, and like, oh, is that your product? I'm like, no, it's not. The reason why I don't wear my own products is because I don't make them for me. I make them for my customer. I let them decide what I want to release. I listen to them. And I do this on even on a content level. Like it's like feeding candy to a baby. I literally give them what they want to see, and anything that there is to do for my brand to make it feel more like theirs. I'm always gonna constantly do that.
That is
Always.
that is so beautiful you say that. And I know we haven't talked in what 6 months or so, maybe longer. But since I saw you last, actually I added a new service to my company, and it's exactly this, and it's data shopper collection. And what we do, we try to understand the psychology behind the purchases of shoppers, and what makes them buy a certain product, and also letting them tell us what the next product should be. And because it's a new service in the Amazon space, I had a few beta testers, and I got kind of mixed messages, because I'm like, would this be of interest to people? Because right now brand creation, it's really crucial. You can either create a brand, or it doesn't just work like, let me just sell the next garlic press. You really have to create a brand. And it shocked me how little importance some Amazon sellers gave to this, like this feedback and this information. And I'm trying to explain the process and tell them how important it is that shoppers tell you what your next product should be. And it's almost like letting go a little bit of control. And that's another thing that people have difficulty with, I notice. Is like, well, I want to bring in this garlic press because my mother-in-law uses it. And it's like, no, let's switch the focus on what do my buyers that I already have a product in this niche, what do they want? And of course, and again, I saw just differences between like somebody that's like they're just starting out and a very high level sellers, and the ones that are like you that already reached that level. They understand the importance of brand creation and getting this crucial feedback. It's like, why do you need to spend restless nights trying to think of what your next product should be when you have your community to tell you what the next product should be? But people don't want to take the time to build a community. So
it's crazy that people would like not listen to their customers like that. That's everything. Like, and that's the problem, is that's why, because people come into this so like money driven and number driven, and that's a problem. Like, you forget that these units you're selling, this revenue you're making throughout the year, it's all backed up by a human being. And the moment that you realize that these are people and you start listening to these people, that's what's going to get you going. That's what's going to build longevity and a community. And that's something I constantly see with new entrepreneurs, is that they come out of the gate and they want money, they want numbers, they want to hit sales, and it's
like, if possible within the first few months.
yeah, you might get lucky, but you have to start listening to your customers eventually. And when you start listening to your customers, not only are you building a community, an ecosystem, but you start introducing new products based off what they want to buy. And like, that's something with my websites, with everything that I do. It's never set up for me to sell. It's set up for my customers to buy. It's always the other way around. And I mean, that's the formula. And I'm constantly going to follow this thing that I don't even know what to call it. Like, I just made it. Might be 3 C's, might be 4 C's. I don't even know. But I'm going to constantly do that because it's worked out for me over and over again. And I see it working in the Amazon space. Like, if you want to do this organically, there is ways to make it happen. Like, this person did it organically. They're doing 4 million in sales, and their product's amazing. Like, I think that's really unique. But they listen to their customers. Like, his customer will tell them what he wants, what they want, and he will release it within the next 2 months. Like, it's crazy. And that's what we do. And that's what keeps our customers coming back, because they know we're going to introduce something for them every single month.
And do you give them like some discounts? Like, what are some ways that you get them to try to test your new product?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, we do have a community like with influencers too. So like they kind of do the introduction for us, depending on like which brand you're talking about. But we do this through email, we do this through text, we do this through any sort of channel. For Drip, we have an app. So like the people that are already creating an account for us are really more invested into our brand and our products already. So that's a lot easier to push notifications to them. But any form of communication with them, even our Instagram, I think like social media is probably the number one way to communicate new products and new ideas to your customers, because that's a problem that Amazon people really don't like figure out is social media. Like I think that if you tie in social media with your Amazon store, you could bring in a lot more traffic. And what I mean by that is social media should be a hub of communication for your business. So people think that it's a selling channel. No, social media is a communication channel. It's where you communicate your new products. You don't sell on Instagram, you communicate. Look at all the brands that just strictly like get to the point and sell. There's no community. Their engagement's trash. And that's the thing. It's like Instagram is a raw platform. Facebook is now a video platform where it should just be a hub of communication. If you try to figure out how to communicate your new products and new timelines of products that are eventually going to happen with your customers and involve them in some sort of like poll, or I don't know, in an engagement technique, whether it's like comment number 1, 2, or 3, or 4. We're constantly doing that. So like for Drip on our social media, we'll post a carousel, a slideshow of like 4 different new ideas, and we'll tell our customers to pick which ones we should release. So they're automatically already engaged, and they know that on the next post, we're going to talk about which one won and when it will be released. And so in their mind, their subconsciousness already is telling them that there's something that they were involved in that's going to be released in the next couple months. And when it is, they're so quick to buy. Oh, did we disconnect? Bell?